Today, Ramblers and Rovers, we are headed to the Mayan ruins of Oxtankah, to the north of Chetumal. Oxtankah is a medium-sized Mayan site located more or less at the same latitude as Bacalar is. So it's from the pictures that I've been seeing and what I've been reading up, it's a very interesting site, and it's one of the main attractions that you have close to Chetumal. So let's explore it and the history and the heritage of the Mayan people here in the region around Chetumal and here in southern Mexico, right by the Belizean border. And hopefully you too can add this to your bucket list so that for your very own rambling and roving adventure. So why?
Rambling and roving.
You just no words. Guys, just listen to the sounds of the jungle, cicadas. It's so lush and green out here. It's so beautiful. It's like being in an emerald bubble all around us. Amazing. Can't wait to see the site. So we're now in the site of Oxtankah, and we're walking through this beautiful, beautiful jungle path. I mean, just look at these trees. These trees with these hanging vines that look as though the tree has beards. It's very beautiful. So we're going down this nature walk all the way out to the actual site of where the buildings are, and it is so beautiful. We have a perfect day to explore. It is very hot, just so you know. This is like extremely humid, hot temperatures, so remember to bring your water and, you know, comfortable pair of shoes or hiking sandals to like walk around and make sure you don't slip on the rocks in the structures, which I believe you can actually access and climb. Right behind me you have a ceiba tree. These trees are very important to Mayan culture because they actually represent the world. So Mayans represented all levels of existence, but through the iconography of ceiba trees, which this is one of them. They grow to be very, very tall. And here we have the Princess of Chetumal herself.
Yes. Hello.
My queen. How are you handling the weather?
I'm handling it. It's the most humidity I've ever felt in my life.
Yeah, this is pretty...
It's really humid. It's only 85 degrees, but with the humidity, like, you just...
In Celsius, that is something like, you know, like middle 30s, like lower 30s.
Like, that's not that warm, you know.
But the humidity
is...
just gives a thermal sensation that is way higher than what the actual number is. So here we have the first structures that we are seeing coming up. What do you think?
Hi. Oh, it's a really cool environment.
Ooh, it is boiling though. So we're at the top of one of the first structures that you can see, and we have this stone structure here and these walls. So what is interesting is that for somebody who has visited tons of Mayan sites and as basically an amateur Mayanist, this is very interesting, and here's like a special connection to the people who actually lived here in Oxtankah. This is actually a bedding area, or what I would think is a bedding area. So this would have been entirely, this whole structure would have been entirely covered with a roof over it, and this is where they most probably stored their most prized possessions, maybe jars of food or water down here to keep it cool in the stone, and just the area where you would have gone to sleep, maybe with your partner. So just a very direct connection to the people who actually lived here. These were not just empty buildings. These were buildings where important people or people who were important to the community would have slept and made their lives. So let's talk about what Oxtankah is. So Oxtankah is an ancient Mayan city that dates from the early classic period. They call it the classic period because it is a time when the arts, technology, structures, and culture in the Mayan world thrived and grew. It was like the Renaissance or just the Naissance for the Maya, really. So this site dates from that time period. So the early classic, it dates from around the year 300 to 600 after Christ. So this is the same time that other major cities in the Mayan world were flourishing, such as Tikal, for example, which this city actually shares a lot of architectural and cultural elements with, as the buildings here adhere to the Peten architectural style, which is the same architectural style that would be used in Tikal. So this site was the biggest site, at least known to date, located on the Bay of Chetumal, which in the ancient times would have been called Chetumal, which is obviously a Mayan word, and there's still a heavy Mayan presence here in Chetumal, located at the southernmost border of the Yucatan Peninsula with Belize. So this would have been an important trading site and a pretty major city for the region, and it's totally worth a visit if you really want to dive into the mysterious, amazing world that is the southern portion of the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, right at the border with Belize. So here in Oxtankah, you can actually climb some of these structures. Doesn't receive enough tourism where, you know, a couple of people climbing will damage the structure. You can get a better view of what this city would actually look like in ancient times. So here at the top you had this structure. So they actually found 2 tombs right beneath this structure. So this would have been an important site. In Mayan cosmology, sacred buildings were blessed by putting in the remains of important people, thereby giving them sacred power or a connection to a certain lineage or dynasty or even a certain deity. And that might have been what happened here, where to consecrate the building you bury an important member of the community in it to have this link. So hot up here, so you just have to be grateful for the presence of these trees and the shade that they provide. So being up so high at the very top of this pyramid, you do feel as though you're almost like flying, because you're at the level of the top part of these trees. It's like going up into the canopy. There's just so much nature here. It is so beautiful. So you can just imagine like the world, the natural world that these ancient peoples used to inhabit, and just kind of how it inspired like their cosmology, their worldview, and their connection to the world around them. I know it does for me. So you can actually visit some of these tombs that were excavated by the archaeologists by going around to the back side of the pyramid and going into the interior that was excavated. So it's here. Kind of spooky, but it's so cool, isn't it? Let's see. It's pretty low. And this was one of the tombs. There is. We gotta. Not there. Let's go find it. So just a fun little fact, guys, for when you come to some of these sites. So right behind you have the pyramid where we just were, and over here you have these clumps of rocks and trees that look like hills, but in reality these are ancient structures that fell apart into these rubble piles. When archaeologists find a new site, this is mostly what they find, and in order to get these kinds of really well preserved buildings, they have to do a lot of work to actually restore the sites. So some of these, when they don't really know what it was, how it would have looked like, then it's kind of impossible to just kind of piece it together. But sometimes they're well preserved, and there's a chance that they can actually make it look like it looked way back in the day. Oh, you don't just have to contend with the heat when coming to these places. There are so many flies and mosquitoes just taking bites of you at any given moment. So yeah, maybe don't come in sandals. So this behind us is a reproduction of a tomb that the archaeologists found, with a reproduction of the skeleton that was found. So this tomb that we just showed you was located inside of a rectangular structure or an altar, where on top of which ceremonies would have been held. The body and the gravesite was marked by 13 stones. It's not coincidence that they are 13, because for the Mayans 13 was a sacred number because it represented the 13 major joints throughout the body, starting here at your neck. So it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. These things were done intentionally, and they betray their spirituality and their sense of numerology and connection to the cosmos and their own way of viewing the world. Just look at the level of detail on these stucco reliefs. You can still observe some of the original paintwork. So the archaeologists believe that this would have been a crown, and they already, and from the interpretation of what is left of the stucco relief, which they're doing a renovation on the shelter that protects it. There are signs that make them think that it would have been the bottom part of a jaguar structure, which would have denoted the sun and its passage through the underworld, and also used as a symbol for Mayan kings during the Classic period, which is the time period from which this site dates. So, I don't know, in my imagination this could have been the throne room where the jaguar throne would have been for the great Ahau that would have ruled over Oxtankah. Even great kingdoms and great cities fall and into utter ruin. Makes you kind of think of how our own is going to look in 1,000 years.
No, I would never make us leave it.
Just for me, despite the heat and the mosquitoes and the bugs, I always enjoy coming out to ruins like this and trying to connect with like the spirits of the abuelos that still reside here, as the Mayans, as contemporary Mayans call them, like the spirits of like the energies that like still reside in these sites. I mean, there's just so much that would have happened here for a medium-sized city. I mean, this is pretty substantial architecture and building. So this site would have been important because they would have commercialized salt, which was very important to the Mayan world. It was one of the major commodities that would come out of Mayan regions, and also honey from beekeeping, as well as shells and like just all kinds of other products. So from here you have the Bay of Chetumal, 1 kilometer to the east, and that whole coastline would have been called what we call now the Mayan highway, because of how Mayans would paddle canoes all along the coast from the northern tip of Yucatan to the very, very southern portion of the peninsula and well into Central America. So they would have been connected to a web of trade networks that would have reached as far as maybe, I mean, the furthest regions to the north, that would have been Mayan, and also the major Mayan cities in Central America, way to the south, to kind of like a halfway point for merchants to stop by and just exchange goods. Incredible to think that these sites that look so abandoned were not isolated. They were actually part of a very vibrant and thriving civilization. Oh, all these flies.
Ooh. Wow. This is a sea pond.
Yeah, I've never seen something like this. So they put another fake skeleton right where they found another tomb, right here. So this would have been a tomb, and just probably buildings from different epochs or ages, stacked and built one on top of the other, rising higher and higher and higher. So now we're at the top of the pyramid, and you have this little niche carved into the rock here with this rectangular structure. Just makes me curious as to what it would have been. Like, being in such a high structure, it makes me think that it would have been either an adoratorium or a place where one of the Ahaus or Mayan lords would have held court. But that's perhaps a question for the archaeologists. Just look at the nature around us. There is just so much green, and you really are up in the canopy here. Well, can you hear the wind just blow through the trees? It's amazing. And there's a beehive, huge beehive up in that tree. These stairs are so steep. Hey guys, so I have a bonus thing for you. So I'm here with... ¿Cuál es tu nombre?
Oseas Juárez.
Oseas Juárez. He's the caretaker, one of the caretakers here at Oxtankah. So there's a phenomenon that happens here in Mayan sites, and it's known as the lush. It's a presence that dates back from the Mayan times. They are kind of like the Mayan leprechauns, or they're like Mayan spirits. And at every Mayan site, caretakers will have a ton of stories about the mischievous little things that a lush will do while they are protecting the site. So he's going to share some of his stories with us. Yo no sé si quieres compartir algunas historias.
Bueno, pues creo que entre tantas que hemos vivido en este sitio, le comentaba, creo que es normal porque pues los seres humanos somos energía, ¿no? Entonces pues han pasado una y otra generaciones, y entonces eso es parte de lo que podemos presenciar a veces, escuchar. Suceden aquí en este sitio, pues que a veces abren la llave del agua, ponen el paso del agua y lo van. Así es, escuchas ruido, incluso escuchas a veces que hablan.
¿Ah, sí?
Escucha como que viniera un grupo de personas. A veces pues sí te confunde porque hay visitantes, ¿no?
Sí, claro.
Pero en ocasiones no hay nadie, como ahorita que ustedes se van, no queda nadie. pero a veces escuchas personas que vienen, se escucha como el
murmullo.
El murmullo, ¿no? O sea, no se logra escuchar algo así claro, pero sí se escucha. O escuchas, te digo, que te hablan de repente y vas a ver, ¿no? Por curiosidad. Son entre algunas cosas. Y hay visitantes que han comentado que se han visto a luces. Han tenido
sí, claro.
la suerte, ¿no?
¿Y usted dijo que también se ven en la capilla? ¿Te ha tocado verlos?
En la capilla, sí, mi compañera, igual ahorita no está conmigo aquí, pero ella sí lo ha visto en la capilla.
¿Sí?
Sí.
¿Y cómo se ven? ¿Como niños chiquitos?
Pues ella menciona que eran como si fueran niños como de unos 5 o 6 años, son pequeños realmente, ¿no? Pero pues, los ves y ya se van por ahí. Sí, pues son una experiencia que hemos pasado en este sitio. Ay. Muchas otras, ¿no? Pero pues sí, se viven.
Por compartir algunas, ¿no?
Así es.
So this is just a little taste of all the things, all the magical things that you can experience in these sites from the mouth of somebody who actually works here and is a local. Entonces, muchísimas gracias.
Que le vaya bien.
So that's pretty much it for Oxtankah. We hope you really enjoyed this video and our exploration of this amazing Mayan site located just 10 kilometers north of the city of Chetumal. So please remember to give this video a thumbs up and like it, and subscribe to our channel. It keeps us growing and sharing some of these amazing sites and stories of peoples old and new from all around the world. So remember to subscribe, and it'll really help us if you can share this with a friend or somebody who you feel is interested. And just remember to have safe travels and keep on rambling and roving. We will see you in our next adventures. But until then, amigos, adios.